What's up, nerds? Brandon and Jasmine from Nerdlocker with my favorite segment of the week, comic book news and reviews.
Oh yeah.
A little bit of interesting news here. It looks like DC's Vertigo is going to be turning the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo trilogy into comic books. Looks like 2 volumes a year for each book, and it'll end in 2014.
This really sounds like a good idea just because so many people love this storyline. And it's pretty much already done for them in book and movie form.
And movies.
So it works for me.
Now you're getting American movies. Now you're getting comic books. I like this though. I'm with you. I'm one of those people that love this storyline, and I kind of want to get as many people
into it
as you can.
And get it a good following.
So, you know, if you didn't read the books or you didn't see the foreign films or you're not going to see this, maybe someone will pick it up and read the comic books.
I definitely will, just because that way I can get a solid storyline in, and reading comics is a little quicker for people. Yeah. So obviously that's a win-win, and I think it'll actually pick up a lot more like new readers that way. So
maybe hop on to comic books.
Exactly.
Through that. I'm actually interested to see who they have, like, you know, adapt it and draw it. You know, art definitely, because I mean the story's already set out. You can't change too much of it. So.
But you can have a really good artist who does sort of darker work.
Yeah.
Would do an amazing job on that.
So I can't wait to see till they announce this. But let us know what you guys think in the comment below.
So in movie news, apparently Matthew Vaughn is signed on to do a Superior movie.
Ooh.
Now, if you don't know what Superior is, from the writer of
Kick-Ass and other awesome movies.
Wanted. You know, yeah, Wanted, Nemesis, comes this great story. It's actually in comic form right now, about a kid with muscular dystrophy who is visited by a astronaut monkey and grants him one wish. The wish is to become this world's superhero in the movies in this world, which would be Superior. I don't know. It's kind of like Big meets Shazam.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
It's actually a really awesome concept because Miller has a way of looking at something simple like that, like Shazam, but in kind of like the real world, and he can bring that real world experience into it. He can bring like what people would really think or what people would really say. If anyone did see Kick-Ass, it's totally like that. It's like if superheroes really did come out, it wouldn't be people in tights running around and, you know, gung-ho and fighting people.
Yeah.
It would be, you know, some kid
getting his ass whooped.
Getting his ass beat for months and months and months until other people started doing it and other people actually went about the right way of doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love Superior. I actually do read this comic religiously. I love it even more than Kick-Ass, more than Nemesis, more than anything.
It's really good. I haven't really read too much of it. I'm waiting for trade, and it's going to take forever to come out in trade, I know. And but what you've shown me, what I've seen of it, it's really awesome. It's really, really cool, and it's just a fun book. It's a different take on a Miller book. Yeah,
the twist is that the monkey eventually comes back and says, now if you want to keep this ability, hail Satan. So it's very interesting. I'm really scared as to where it's going to go. I really want to see it in movie form. I really do.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. That'd be really cool.
Tell us what you guys think.
Hey guys, Brandon here with some comic reviews for you this week. First off, I got Super Dinosaur #5. It's been a fun book from issue 1, and I'm still enjoying it. This doesn't get any less awesome every time I read it. Awesome writing by Robert Kirkman and awesome artwork by Jason Howard. I'm always waiting for that dark turn that Kirkman books usually take, but this one is still saying just fun and enjoyable, and you got dinosaurs in robot suits with bigger robot suits and giant dinosaur fights. I mean, honestly, what more are you looking for? I'm giving this 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. Next up, I got Orchid #1, new book from Dark Horse, written by Tom Morello of Rage Against the Machine, the guitar player. Pretty good book. Post-apocalyptic world, the world floods, and then you got mutant creatures coming out of the sea, and, you know, that part of it was kind of generic. But I actually was wondering why it was called Orchid. You don't meet Orchid, the character, until the last couple pages. So looks like there's a lot more to tell with her. You're introduced to Simon, and it looks like they've been reluctantly teamed up on what will be the journey of the book Orchid. I'm intrigued. Wasn't something I was going to read, but I'm actually glad I gave it a read. I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. You guys should check it out.
Hey there, nerds. Jasmine here with my comic book reviews for the week. The first up is Huntress #1, and I know someone actually asked us why we hadn't reviewed this yet, and we just kind of hadn't got it. DC sent it to the wrong address. So here you go. It's a week late, but I really, really like this book. First of all, the cover art was done by one of my favorites, Gilliam March. He does really, really wonderful like physiques on men and women, which I think is a real talent. And he just makes really beautiful art. He also used to draw porn, which we have joked about like on Twitter and stuff. So this just sort of makes me happier because to see him have work with like less books being out makes me really happy because he does a really good job. Now, on the inside of the book, the art was just as good, drawn by someone else, written by someone else, and they did a really good job. It wasn't ham-fisted at all. It was a great little Huntress story. It sort of pulls you in and you are happy where it ends. So I really enjoyed this book. You see Huntress sort of go to Italy to stop a shipment of what she calls garbage from getting back to Gotham, and when she opens it, she gets a really good surprise. Not gonna spoil anything, but it's pretty cool. So nothing is cooler than Huntress, Italian mobsters, and her kicking people's butts in like lingerie. So definitely check it out. I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. Really good girl book. My next book is actually a trade. It is Volume 3 of Nightmare World, which honestly going into it, I was kind of like, I don't really know. But it's just a collection, I think, of single stories that they just put out and throw together. I really liked it. They're random things you can just jump onto. They're really entertaining. The art's really bad in some, and then it's so bad it's good. And then in some, it's just different and weird, and I liked it a lot. The stories are all totally out there. There's one with a little boy who like prays to God that his parents will stop fighting over money, and then like the apocalypse happens and demons are like coming out of the sky, and he was like, thank you. Like Jesus sent the rapture to happen so your parents would stop fighting and you can go on this crazy adventure. So they're all really cool. Cthulhu shows up. It's really interesting. If you like horror type deals, check it out. It's really, really good in that sort of genre of comic books. So I'm actually gonna give this 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
Hey guys, it's Cubby here with my comic reviews for the week. I have a couple books that I did, and the first 2 were actually The Thing. It's a prequel to kind of everything. It's not even like part of the movie. It takes place like in Viking times. Like there's Norse people, not Norse people, but Vikings. And they're going through this ice floe and they stumble upon the creatures. And it's really, really interesting. It's really cool. It's actually written by Steve Niles, who, if you guys aren't familiar with horror comics, he's an amazing horror comic writer. And it really had this kind of gritty, dirty, dark art style to it, which added to the book. I think horror comics should be written that way, should be drawn that way. It adds to that uneasy feeling. Like if you had a bright, colorful horror book, I just don't think it would work. So this book kind of just goes along those lines. It gives you a cool Norseman story, and I don't know. I want to read the third one. I want to see how it leads into the new movie coming out and into the old original Thing movie. Overall, I'm gonna give it 3.5 Nerd Skulls. Now the next book that I reviewed was Ultimate Comics XMen #2. Now, I read the first one, and it blew my socks off. I was hooked. It just kind of had a cliffhanger ending. I wanted to know what was going on. I wanted more. Finally got it, and it's keeping the story along. It's keeping the pace going. It slows down a little bit, but you're still intrigued and you want to know what's going on in the story. You want to know what's going to happen next. I don't want to give too much away, so I'm going to leave it at that, but I definitely have to give it 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. Now, my final book was New Avengers #17. It's written by Bendis, of course, and it's drawn by Mike Deodato Jr. He's finally back on the book. He jumped on the book a while ago. He was on it, I think it was New Avengers before they renumbered it #50, and it was actually really, really cool. This new issue, everything's changed. All these crazy things are going on. Spiderman's on the team, Daredevil's on the team, but it seems like they're still dealing with all this Fear Itself fallout, and they jumped into a new story arc right after all this stuff, and there's an Ultimo that they're fighting, and he absorbs energy, and there's all this crazy stuff going on. It gives you the Avengers fix that you want. You want all these big names fighting a giant robot or a giant threat, and there's way more complications to it. So it hit all the marks that I want in an Avengers book, but the art kind of wasn't feeling it. I don't like dirty superheroes. I don't like superheroes that look like they're hatched together and there's all kinds of pencil marks all over the place. You should have an eraser if you're going to draw a superhero. They should be clean. They should be clean cut and heroes, not someone that you despise and you don't want to look at. So that was my only problem with the book, the art, which I'm not a Deodato fan. I know a lot of people love him. So if you do, more power to you. you're going to love this book. If you don't, the story will probably keep you into it, but it was kind of hard for me. And I'm a Avengers super freak, so that's saying a lot. Overall, I got to give it 3 nerd skulls, unfortunately.
Steven here, and first up is Suicide Squad #2. I actually enjoyed #1. A lot of people didn't, but I really did. And so keep that in mind while doing it. I didn't come in with a jaded perspective. But even with that, the story, I didn't really like it. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. It was average. It was just, I mean, it's still cool seeing the characters, how they interact with each other, and there were some cool scenes and everything like that, but it was still just kind of like, eh. Like, they let it up as if it was going to be so much, like, more awesome, so crazy cool. Then it just kind of was like, eh. So that's really the perfect word to describe it is, eh. So I'm only going to give it 3.5 skulls out of 5. Next up is Ultimate Spider-Man #3. I am loving how they're doing this. The slow development into it, how he's like trying to understand his powers, and also all the other stuff because it's still in the same universe as like the mutants being attacked and it being controlled by the government and everything like that. And it just hit where Spider-Man all the stuff's happening with Spider-Man from the other issues. And so, I mean, it was crazy awesome, so good. I mean, it was still kind of a slower build-up, so if you're expecting something where he's like all of a sudden flying through the air and shooting webs, which I mean, it kind of leads you to think that with the cover, but that's not happening yet, but it's still a really good build-up that I'm really enjoying, so I'm gonna give it 4.5 skulls out of 5.
Hey there nerds, Bobby here to do some comic reviews for you. My first one is going to be Green Lantern #2. Last month I talked about how excited I was for this book going into the New 52, and that excitement continues with issue #2, although I am kind of scared where they are going with Sinestro. I was afraid in the beginning that they would make us sympathize for his character again, and unfortunately that is exactly what they're doing in the second issue. They make it out to be that Sinestro is a far better Lantern than Hal Jordan ever was. They kind of paint Hal Jordan as this superhero that only cares about being in the spotlight. And they do that efficiently, and it kind of makes sense, but I don't want to sympathize for Sinestro yet. He's done some terrible things to the human race as well as across the universe. So I do not want to sympathize for him, but it's what they're going for. I'm going to give this book 4 out of 5 nerd skulls just because I hate Sinestro so much. My second comic review for the week is going to be Pigs #2. This book is amazing. It is one of the most incredible indie books I've ever read. It's all about the KGB and their stint in Cuba and how now in present day the president has gone missing and his hand has showed up. Furthermore, the KGB is still alive and in their younger selves. It's kind of weird. I love the book. I love where it's going. And in the second issue, it even adds more mystery. I'm going to give this book 5 out of 5 nerd skulls.
All right, that's going to do it for comic book news and reviews. But until next week, be sure to follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube page, as well as check us out at nerdlocker.com.
We'd also like to thank Maximum Comics for supplying some of the books we reviewed today. If you are a local Las Vegan in the area, be sure to check out one of their 2 convenient locations. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Jasmine.
And we'll see you next week for more comic book news and reviews.